how to do a sort of like a little spinny top animation with a new effector called a spline effector, which is kind of interesting. And I have a couple uses for it, but we'll just start really simple. This is kind of what we're going for, where the beginning starts, it's like an endless machine. You know, they start being manufactured up there at the top, and then they end at the bottom, and they just reappear. And if you change perspectives on stuff, you can create all sorts of interesting looks. You got to really experiment with things. We are using a Helix spline, which is found in your splines. Oops, did I just make a spline? No, I didn't. Okay. Which is found in your spline, called a Helix. It's just basically a spiral. And the Helix has the options to be modified for how they look, which we'll do in a second here when we make a fresh one. And then I'm using a cloner as just a regular linear clone, except I'm not having it really move or anything. And what I'm doing is, let's turn it back on. We are cloning the cube here. So just like a standard little itty bitty kind of domino shaped cube. Of course, you can do this with a lot of other things. And I have a lot of steps here, a lot of count. And I'm going to turn back on the spline effector. And with the cloner, I'm telling it how many to clone and so forth. But I could have done this as also an object clone, and then dragged in the Helix as the object clone, and then told it to be on step, and got a similar appearance here. I'll show you how to animate it in a second. But the reason I'm showing it to you is because there's so many things that you can do to kind of alter the appearance if you experiment with it. So, you know, I might show you one or two ways in class, but there's so many things that you can do if you experiment with stuff to get all these different looks and feels. Like, for instance, just on the height of the Helix, if I crush it and bring it in on itself, you can create like a really interesting kind of gear machine, like spiral staircase type of a look, especially if you're gazing down on it. And remember, you're doing a 6 animated piece, so this might be something that you want to put in your design. It's just kind of cool the way that it works. So let's kind of get one started here. We'll make a new one here. So with the Helix, and then I'll just reuse that one. With the Helix, you go ahead and you make it, and you have to flip it down here 90 degrees on the P, which stands for pitch, and hit apply, and then it will flip it this direction. And then you just go ahead and alter the start and the end radius to, you know, make it more of a spiral. Like, you can make the bottom bigger, the top bigger, whatever you want to do. And you can change the end angle so it gets more spirally. You can change the height. It's probably too high. Let's do 150 and 450. Okay. And it's kind of neat because if you look at the end angle here, so it just keeps spiraling. Maybe some of you will take note of that and come up with something creative, because what is next to that? A bullet. So you can animate all this stuff. Anyways, that is your basic Helix, okay? And so what you're going to do is on the cloner here, I made it an object clone and I used the Helix, but like I showed you on the other one, I could have just left it as a linear clone. And play with it that way. So I could have gone to the cloner and left it on linear and built up my clones this way. You can actually type in a number if you want to go past the gamut. The gamut is the end. I have it on position, so I don't really want it to move. So, I mean, both of those would work in this case. We're going to animate it with the offset portion of the spline effector. Okay, but there's a lot of room in here for experimentation and getting different looks for it, which I'll probably cover a little bit more in class when we have more time, because I don't want to make this video too long. But to animate this, you simply need the frames in your movie, and I'm not going to put a sound effector on this, but I could if I wanted to. I'm going to go to the spline effector. So when your cloner's selected, you're going to go make an effector called a spline, which we're going to use later for different stuff. It's kind of a fun thing that we can use to create stuff. We have a most spline over here too, you might notice. They're different in case some people just see the word spline and grab it. Most spline's really neat because you can do, I don't know if I have it, but let's see if I have wind. There it is. I don't know if that's it. Let's go look. Oh yeah, this is it. So this is a most spline. Oh, this one isn't animated. Let's see if I can find it really quick since I brought it up. So we will search the computer. I used to have it on this desktop. Hopefully I'm not wasting your time again. Let's see if one of these is it. Oh, okay, there you go. So like, these whimsical, like cloudy, almost kind of, it almost seems like anime, Japanese kind of in a way, or Chinese. You could like imagine a dragon doing stuff like that as well. Like the long snaky type of Chinese dragons, which are super cool. And they kind of like fly through the sky, getting all snaky and twirly and stuff. Or you can create wind or stuff like that. This is using a Moe spline though. Okay, the spline effector has a few different properties to it, but it's a good build into this, which we are going to do this. So if you're like, oh, that's cool, I want to do that, we are going to do that. So back to the spin top thing. So on the spline effector, just on a simple note, you have parameters. I could take off rotation, and it kind of straightens it out. You can tell it to rotate, however you want it to rotate. That could all, so I could say, you know what, at the beginning of the movie, record 0, at the end of the movie, go 360. Oops, what did I not do? I made a mistake, I boo-booed. You gotta scrub. 360 and record the keyframe. And so now, they'll just kind of spin in place. They're not moving around on the spline yet because I haven't done that yet. If I wanted them to spin a lot, I could go to the end of my movie and say, how about like 3,600 degrees? All right, so while they're doing that, let's make them move around on the spline. So that's all I'm doing on the spline effector, tongue twister. I'm going to go over to the offset here. This is where we'll animate it. So at the beginning of the movie, we'll record it there. And then at the end of the movie, we'll do 100%. And we'll see what that looks like. So now they're appearing. Now at the beginning, it's going to kind of like try to reset itself because I had already moved it around a little bit. But there goes my engine. How do I slow this down? Well, some people would think you go to strength. The strength is just like going to tighten it up on itself. I would slow it down with the percentage of the offset. So I did 100%, but if I wanted it to be a little bit slower and more weak sauce, then I could have done it that way. And then also, what I don't have is, you see how like the clones start here, and then it's the offset starts here, or the clones are over here. I believe that has to do with not my count, but the start right there was on 5%. So you can tell it where to start and where to end. So now that that's fixed, I think it should look a little bit more normal. There we go. And then remember, under parameters, you can just turn off rotation, and it will just like reset itself. Mine's rotating because I did the extra animation on it, so there, if you just focus on one section, you'll see the extra twist. And what else could you do to this? Well, you could go to Effector and go to Sound and load in a sound. How about Sail? And then remember, a sound effector has a natural parameter of position. You would not want to do, well, you could do scale if you wanted it to. You can shrink too with scale, by the way. Take off position and it doesn't bounce. I don't know, probably scale's not doing much, is it? We'll go to position. Or we could try effector color. And we can throw on a random. So I could go to cloner, and you can, I mean, I'm not really doing too much with this, but I have a random effector, so it's changing the position automatically, and that's kind of actually fighting the sound. Oh, I took it off, good. So I could take it off position and go back to normal. That's kind of cool though. And then we can put it on effector color, add, and they'll change color as they move around on the wheel. So I mean, there's just a lot of cool, fun stuff that you can do with it. I'm just experimenting right now. It's freestyle animation. Anyways, have fun with it. I will explain more in class.